This episode of the Darion Hopkins Sports Show is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the #1 platform to browse, discover, and experience best events in town, all in the palm of your hand. From heart-pounding concerts that can make you dance to nail-biting sports games that can keep you on the edge of your seat, SeatGeek has it all. From exclusive deals and personalized recommendations tailored just for you. Use the promo code DHopkins and get $20 off your first purchase. So join the movement. SeatGeek. Get up, get out, and get. Are you ready to take your energy to the next level? W Energy is a proud sponsor of the Darion Hopkins Sports Show, your go-to source for all things sports. W Energy isn't just another drink. It's packed with natural ingredients, zero sugar, and no fillers. Whether you're training like me, grinding through work, or just leveling up on your favorite game, W got you covered. The Darion Hopkins Sports Show is powered by W Energy, and you can be too. Experience the sustained energy and enhanced focus to keep me at the top of my game. Here's an exclusive offer for the Darion Hopkins Sports Show fans. Using promo code DHopkins at checkout and get 10% off your first purchase. So don't wait. Boost your energy and take the world today. W Energy. Fuel your greatness every step of the way. What is up? What is up? Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're listening here. Today is the Darion Hopkins Sports Show, Season 3, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you can hear me in the comments. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Make sure you comment below and let us know if you can hear us or not. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear because we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So make sure you come on in, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel on the Darion Hopkins Sports Show. We are live on the Facebook page as well, which is the Darion Hopkins and the Darion Hopkins Sports Show. And we are live on Twitch at the Darion Hopkins Sports Show. So we greatly appreciate everyone being here and being part of the new era of the Darion Hopkins Sports Show, and it's presented to you by SeatGeek. So SeatGeek is definitely one of the ones if you definitely like to go to sporting events of anything of that nature. If you love to go to, sporting events, entertainment, anything of that nature, make sure you go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code DHopkins and get $20 off your first purchase. So $20 off your first purchase. Make sure y'all do that here. So shout out to everybody that's in the chat, to Jeffrey Webb, to Chaos Raider, to Nasir Rakim on Facebook. Shout out to everybody that's on here. We're going to talk a lot about the NFL, NBA, college football, and WWE. Yes, WWE is debuting in a new era, and it will be live on Netflix tonight. So you definitely don't want to miss that. But we're going to get straight into it, man. Thank y'all for being back with me and supporting me in doing this Darion Hopkins Sports Show. It's been really fun, and I greatly appreciate each and every one of you being a part of this movement here, because this is a big thing for me to bring the Darion Hopkins Sports Show back and bring it back with no layout, just me and everything that y'all need to hear from the Darion Hopkins Sports Show. But let's talk about Week 18, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Week 18. I'm just going to go through the scores real quickly. We all know who's in the playoffs for that. And we're going to get into the wild card weekend, and we're going to get to some coaches firing. But we all know on Saturday, I did the play-by-play and reactions on my Sports Wire YouTube channel. So make sure y'all go and check out that. Baltimore beat Cleveland 35-10. Baltimore is, got their seeding, and now they'll have a home. They'll be playing in the wild card. They'll be playing against Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh lost to the Cincinnati Bengals 19-17. And, every other game was really like not a really meaningless game outside of, Denver when they had to get it and they won convincingly, beating the Kansas City Chiefs, giving them their second loss of the year, even though Kansas City started all their actual starters. But still, they were still able to get it done and still able to get the win. Tampa Bay was able to get their win. Philadelphia locked up the number 2 seed. We all know the Detroit Lions locked up the number 1 seed. So all roads lead to Ford Field. All roads lead to the Super Bowl. You have to go there. You have to go there for you to try to beat the Detroit Lions on a home turf. And it was just all about seeding. The Los Angeles Rams will play the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football, and we'll talk about a lot. We'll definitely talk about a lot. But let's get into what we came here to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get straight down to the nitty gritty of the first part of this podcast. And that is the coaching firings of Gerard Mayo and Doug Peterson, and just the tracker around these coaches, in my personal opinion. So let's talk about it. Like it's tracking all the latest news, interviews, developments concerning the coaches and the GM vacancies around the league. And as a 2025 hiring cycle, it definitely kicks into gear. It's definitely considered Black Monday in this situation. So information below would definitely tell you everything. So, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb from the Seattle Seahawks, he was able to end up getting fired today after one season as an offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. The Cincinnati Bengals fired their defensive coordinator, Lou Amaro, if I said that correctly. He had 6 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, but we all know that the head coach Doug Peterson got fired today from the Jacksonville Jaguars on the day after the Jacksonville Jaguars season-ending loss to the Indianapolis Colts. They dropped the 4-13 on that campaign, and Peterson leaves Duval as 22-29 record over the 3 seasons at the helm. So I said this in my video on the Sports Wire. Like, we just don't know what's going to be the next head coaching for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville just can't keep a coach. They just can't keep a coach no matter who it is. And Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson just didn't work out in that situation. Now, we do have Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo was another coach that got fired, probably one of the first head coaches that got fired, and that was yesterday. And I said that on my show on the Sports Wire. If you go check out the Sports Wire YouTube channel, you can see I uploaded a video of that, saying that the Patriots has fired Mayo on January 5th, shortly after the win over the Buffalo Bills in the season finale. Now, Mayo was 4-13 in the record in his first season at the helm, but we all have to say for Gerard Mayo in this situation is that he drafted Drake May. Did he really, get set up for success? That's the biggest question. Did he really get set up for success for the New England Patriots? And I know Robert Kraft, he said that he really feels bad about firing Gerard Mayo, but at the same time, you have to think about it like you really didn't set him up to be ready to be a head coach, honestly. And I feel like personally with Gerard Mayo is that he's going to be a defensive coordinator somewhere. I don't see him being a head coach nowhere else. That's just another thing that I see here. Same thing for Doug Peterson. I don't see Doug Peterson being a head coach, in my personal opinion. I do see him being an offensive coordinator somewhere in the NFL when it comes to this coach's carousel. And that's just it. Hopefully, the New England Patriots and all these head coaching jobs that's going to come available, hopefully they can find them a job somewhere in the NFL. Now let's go down to the Cleveland Browns, where the Cleveland Browns has fired offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey and offensive line coach Andy Dickerson. Now, Andy Dickerson was another one, and Ken Dorsey was just horrible at the offensive coordinator position, knowing that you had Deshaun Watson and you had Jared Judy, you had all these receivers and all these weapons, and you still couldn't do nothing with this record being 3-14 on the year. They got blown out by the Ravens, and the Browns was just ready to have that season be over with. The Cleveland Browns were ready to have their season over with at that time. And now Ken Dorsey, he might get another job in the NFL. Who knows? To me, I think he's a Luke Getsy 2.0. I'm a Raiders fan at the end of the day. So yeah, I do see it as both of him, still finding jobs in this league. The Chicago Bears, of course they fired their head coach mid-season, but they did fire their offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron. Now, Bears fired their head coach on November 29th after Thanksgiving Day loss to the Detroit Lions and featured a notable clock mismanagement in that game in the final seconds. Now, the Bears were 4-8 at the time of the head coach firing, and they finished a 14-32 record in the 2+ seasons he was with the Chicago Bears. And the Bears fired Waldron on November 12th with 9 games left into his first season with the team. We all knew that New Orleans Saints fired Dennis Allen. We all knew that situation there. They're going to be looking for a head coach. The Saints fired Allen November 4th after the loss to the Panthers. They did drop to New Orleans to 2-7 on the season. Longtime defensive coordinator for them as well. And Allen definitely replaced Sean Payton as the head coach after laddering step away from 2021 season. And 43 games as a head coach and compiled only an 18-25 record. just was not getting it done in New Orleans. Now, for the Las Vegas Raiders, this is definitely a very interesting one because we all thought that a lot of people were saying that Antonio Pierce would probably be out the door. But as of right now, as of today, and as of I do this actual show, that Antonio Pierce still is the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, offensive coordinator Luke Getsy was fired. We all know that. The quarterback coach, Rich Shangrello, was another coach that got fired from the Las Vegas Raiders. And offensive line coach James Craig was another coach that got fired from the Las Vegas Raiders, starting with a 2-7 loss. Now the Jets did fire Robert Slayer and general manager Joe Douglas. Now we all know that Slayer was fired on October 8th with 5 games into the 2024 season. The Jets was 2-3 at the time of Slayer's firing, which they probably still could have found a way to make the playoffs. But they fired Slayer at in 56 games as the head coach. He was 20-36 record in the 4+ seasons. New York fired Douglas on November 19th, and Douglas was in his final year of the contract, and he posted a 30-64 record in the 5+ seasons with the Jets. Now we all know that some coaches that's going to be returning in 2025, like Coach Shane Steichen. That's another one for the Indianapolis Colts. General Manager Chris Ballard, like he's going to come back. Trent Blackie, the general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars, it looks like he's going to be coming back this year. Miami Dolphins is keeping Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer as their head coach and general manager. The same thing for Brian Dable and Joe Schosen. Those two will be coming back to the New York Giants. Now, we do have a lot of interviews that's going on as well. A lot of interviews is definitely going on around the league in the NFL. So make sure y'all come on in, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to talk about a lot of things here, but we're going to get through this coaching carousel that's been going on because today is Black Monday at the end of the day. So the head coach interviews right now that you have for the Chicago Bears, you had Brian Flores, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, Mike Kalafa, Mike McCarthy was just added to the list. Todd Monken, Drew Petzing, Arthur Smith, and Anthony Wheeler. Now, Brian Flores is the DC for the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Glenn is the DC for the Detroit Lions. Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Mike Kalafa is the offensive coordinator for the Giants. Mike McCarthy, we all know he's the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Monken is the OC for the Chicago Bears. Drew Petzing was the OC for the Arizona Cardinals. Arthur Smith is the OC for the Steelers, and Anthony Wheeler for the Dolphins defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson got interview requests from the New England Patriots. The New Orleans Saints, they want to do Kellen Moore of the Philadelphia Eagles. David Shaw, the former head coach at the University of Stanford, and now is a current Broncos executive. You got Anthony Weaver, the DC, from there as well, just looking for the interview request for the New Orleans Saints. Now, for the New York Jets, you have a list of them here. You have a list of them: Joe Brady, Brian Flores, Aaron Glenn, Van Joseph, Matt Nagy, Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan, Bobby Slowick, Arthur Smith, and Mike Vrabel. All those guys, which that one was completed from the former Titans head coach, we did get an interview with them. The general manager's request was Mike Borgioni, Trey Brown, Thomas Durtoff, Mike Greenberg, Alex Hallaby, Jim Nagy, Lewis Riddick was another one that got a GM interview, and John Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a lot of stuff that's going on in the matter of moments here when it comes to this league and when it comes to the NFL. And these coaches are deservedly sort of getting fired. I don't know about the Gerard Mayo situation, but me personally, Kellen Moore looking like he might be getting a head coaching job. Who knows? He's the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to get the attraction away what he did with that offense in Saquon Barkley in that situation there. So me personally, I do like all these coaches that's probably getting opportunities, but the only two that I'm really concerned of that probably won't go anywhere right now is probably Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. That would be my only two that probably won't go anywhere because they have something going right now with the Detroit Lions, and they're not really focused on being interviewed for other teams where they're trying to go into a playoff run at this moment. So most of these coaches that definitely want to get a playoff run right now, they're not really focused on interviewing with other teams at this point. So in my personal opinion, I just see like with the NFL, I think coaches that's in the playoffs should not allow to be interviewed during the playoffs. I think that's a rule that definitely needs to be changed. It needs to be changed because there's no way that I'm focusing on trying to win a Super Bowl and you have teams that's no longer playing football anymore after 18 weeks of trying to make a playoff run or trying to rebuild their franchises. I think you should wait till after the season's over for these teams that's in the playoffs. Then you can start interviewing them. And that's my personal opinion there. So that's definitely it. So let's get down to the nitty gritty of the next part of here, and that is we are in the wild card weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the wild card weekend, and I'm happy to say it, man. Andy Reid should be considered for coach of the year. He might should be coach of the year in my personal opinion. I mean, he's 15-2, got the best team in the league, but I still think the Kansas City Chiefs could definitely be suspect. They could be suspect. They really can be. So I don't know if they coach of the year. It could be a lot of teams, a lot of coaches. I mean, Dan Campbell could be coach of the year. It could be even Kevin O'Connell, even though they lost to the Detroit Lions last night, he could be coach of the year. You got some very interesting things. Even Nick Sirianni, you could probably make him a coach of the year. You just never know, even though the record shows with him being coach of the year because of the record of being 15-2. I understand that, but I feel like right now the better teams are like the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles. You got some other teams out there, and we're gonna talk about it right now, and that is during wild card weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Wild card, even Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh could be another one that can be a coach of the year. But let's get into the wild card weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Wild card weekend is definitely in the books, y'all. It's definitely in the books. And we're going to talk about it real quickly here, where we have the first game on January 11th at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, where we have the Los Angeles Chargers going into the AFC South Division winners of the Houston Texans. Now, this is going to be a very interesting one, where we have a good 11-6 Chargers versus the Houston Texans that's 10-7 that really never been that great at home, but I do like what I see. Now you're going up against Justin Herbert versus CJ Stroud. Both quarterbacks is going to be good, but this is going to really come down to the running game and to the wide receivers. It's going to come down to if J.K. Dobbins can go off, can Joe Mixon go off, and then you got Ladd McConkey that could possibly be an offensive rookie of the year. You just don't know what you can see out of him. And Nick Collins has had himself a year, even though he's been banged up a lot. I do like what I see out of him when it comes to the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Houston Texans. Now, me personally, I do like both defenses in this situation. I like both defenses. It's a definitely interesting matchup. And I feel like the Texas defense can be good. They can be good and they can be better. They really can be. But I like the Chargers a little bit more. Derwin James has been very, very good for the Chargers defense, but I gotta see what CJ Stroud could do, man. This is kind of like a slump year for him, and his numbers is not really what it was last year. We know what 3,727 passing yards. He did have 12 interceptions and 20 touchdowns, but I want to see what he does against this Charger defense. The same thing for Justin Herbert. I want to see what he does against this Texans defense, because this Texas defense is really good. So I'm going to say 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for Justin Herbert. But if I had to go and pick a team that's 5-3 at home, but the Chargers are 6-3 away, I'm gonna go I'm taking the Chargers to beat the Texans. That's going to be my first pick. I'm taking the Chargers to beat the Texans. That's the one thing I'm going to take there. I think the Chargers, even though I'm a Raiders fan and I don't want the Chargers to win, but I just got to see it from a perspective. If the Chargers could get over the playoff slumps, and right now, according to the ESPN predictor, it says 52.8% have the Chargers winning this game. So I am going to pick the Chargers to win this game here in the first wild card game. Then you got Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. And I'll be completely honest with you, it's a no-brainer for me. I am taking the Baltimore Ravens to stomp on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. After what I saw last weekend, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan is with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. I'm not a big fan of Russell Wilson, and George Pickens dropped too many passes for me in that last game last week. And the defense was getting them off the field. The defense was getting them turnovers, but I feel like Baltimore is a well-balanced defense. It's going to be hard to stop Derrick Henry. We just don't know what's going to happen with Zay Flowers, but Isaiah Likely and Bateman and Mark Andrews, those guys are going to step up if Zay Flowers can't go. they're going to be they're going to be Baltimore. Baltimore's going to beat them convincingly. I just don't see it they the way they lost to Cincinnati, even though it was a 2-point loss to Cincinnati, but it could have been a blowout. Cincinnati kind of dropped the ball or blowing them out, in my personal opinion. So I am taking the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card. Sorry, just got to do it. Got to do it in that situation. I just don't like what I see out of Pittsburgh, even though TJ Watt's probably the best defender that you might see, the best defender on that team, but I just don't see the that defense stopping Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. They got Rashad Bateman. They have weapons, and Lamar Jackson with his legs, possibly a potential MVP for Lamar Jackson. I just don't see the Pittsburgh Steelers finding a way to beat Baltimore in that first round. So I got Baltimore winning over the Pittsburgh Steelers in that round. Now let's go to the Sunday games. We have 3 Sunday games in the wild card weekend. And that is the Denver Broncos versus Buffalo Bills. This is a very interesting matchup. And I don't like the Broncos because I'm a Raiders fan, but I got to take my Raider fandom out of it. The Denver Broncos did what needed to be done to get into the playoffs. They're 10-7, they're 4-5 away, but the Buffalo Bills are 13-4 and a possible MVP quarterback in Josh Allen. Now, Bo Nix, he did throw for 3,700 yards this year with 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Josh Allen, 28 TDs and 6 interceptions, about around the same amount of passing yards as Bo Nix. You got Williams with 513 yards on the year, but you do got Jared Cook. You got James Cook that's just as good as him with over 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. Cortland Sutton over 1,000 yards in receiving. Shakir almost 1,000 yards with 821 yards with 4 touchdowns. It's going to be a very interesting game. These are 2 defenses that really thrive off their defenses. They really thrive off of it. And Denver's defense is definitely no slouch. They're definitely no slouch. So me personally, I really like what I see here. And this is going to be a tough matchup. I think this is going to be a close game. People think that is going to be a walk in the park for the Buffalo Bills, but I don't think so. I think the Buffalo Bills will win this game, but the Buffalo Bills will win in not in a great fashion, but in a close fashion. I think Bo Nix, I kind of underestimated him going into this season, and I'm gonna just be real. I didn't like Bo Nix coming out of the draft. I just didn't. I didn't like him. And I think he's going to be a great quarterback for the Denver Broncos to come. And Sean Payton got them guys really playing well over there in Denver. But I think Buffalo is going to be a little bit too much for them, especially in the cold, especially in Western New York. That's going to be very interesting to watch. So me personally, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen to win this game. But I say they win at least by 3 points, in my opinion. And I'm just going to take them. I really like what I see out of the Buffalo Bills. But I do like the Broncos. Salute to the Broncos, but it's just not going to be your night that night. And now we down to the nitty-gritty of things. 4:30 game, and the Philadelphia Eagles have a home game against the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be a very, very interesting game because now that Christian Watson has torn his ACL and he's going to be done for the year, which sucks for the Green Bay Packers. But you have 2 running backs in this game that's going to be so good. So good. You got Josh Jacobs, that's probably a top 5 running back in the league right now, a former Raider, which we should never let walk in the first place. But Josh Jacobs has been tremendous this year for the Green Bay Packers, getting balls out the backfield and stuff of that nature. But I do like what I see with him. Saquon Barkley, the rushing title, he over 2,000 yards, could have broke the record, but he decided to sit out. And Nick Sirianni decided to sit all these starters. This is going to be a fun game to watch. Now, the question really is Jalen Hurts going to play? Will Jalen Hurts be ready doing that concussion protocol? He did miss 2 games. And if I'm Jalen Hurts, I need to be getting ready like right now. That's what I need to be doing. I need to be getting ready like right now, in my personal opinion, because you don't want to go in here and have a backup against Jordan Love and his Green Bay Packers. Just don't want it. But Devontae Smith, he's still a dog on the Eagles. You still have A.J. Brown. You have Dallas Goedert that came back. Even with the backfield, you got Kenneth Gainwell that's really good as well. That offensive line is probably one of the best offensive lines in football. Same thing for the Green Bay Packers, though. The way they both teams run the football and establish a run, this is going to be a grinded out game. It's going to be a grinded out game. It's going to be all about the play action after the run. What can you do with the play action? How mobile can you be with Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts on their respective teams? In their defenses, the Packers defense is not as great as the Eagles defense, but I would take the Eagles defense right now over the Packers defense. I think that's going to be the Achilles heel for the Green Bay Packers because they don't know how to get off the field in third down situations. But I do like what I see from them. But at the end of the day, I do like the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. They 8-1 at home. They're 14-3. And the Green Bay Packers are 5-3 away, but I think the fall of Christian Watson being done for the year is really going to hurt them. They're going to really have to establish a run with Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs, I think he's going to be well. But I think this defense is going to find a way to stop Josh Jacobs in Lincoln Financial Field. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning this game over the Green Bay Packers. And then you have the next game on Sunday where you have the Washington Commanders going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be a hard game for me to pick. This is definitely going to be a hard game for me to pick because I really love these two teams. Baker Mayfield has revived his career in the last 2 years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that guy's been balling. Then you have Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has been stellar this year as a rookie quarterback, giving them a 12-5 record in his first year. This is going to be an interesting game, man. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is just as good as the Washington Commanders with Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans and Irvin. You got so many weapons on both sides of this ball. I just don't know who to pick. Yes, probably outside. But I just don't know. I just don't know who to pick when it comes to the Washington Commanders, man, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are home. It's going to be warm. So Jaden Daniels, you don't have to worry about playing in the cold. You might play in the cold if you advance and might have a home game. Who knows? But I like both of these quarterbacks. 4,500 yards for Baker Mayfield, almost 3,700 yards for Jaden Daniels in passing, 41 touchdowns for Baker Mayfield. But he does have 16 interceptions. But Jaden Daniels, 25 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. You got Bruce, I think his name is Bruce Irvin or Bucky Irvin or something like that. That's the running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, over 1,000 yards. Over 1,000 yards. And Jaden Daniels almost had 1,000 yards rushing as a quarterback. He might be offensive rookie of the year outside of Brock Bowers and a few others. So for me, I am going to take, drum roll, please. I just don't know. Oh my God. I'm definitely, you know what? I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. I am going to take the Commanders to beat the Buccaneers this weekend. I just like what they're doing over there. I just love the camaraderie. I love the style that they play. The Buccaneers, I love Baker Mayfield and what he does, but I'm going to give the edge to the Washington Commanders over the Buccaneers today. I am. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. That's just my personal opinion. That's what I like. And I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders, man. All right, so now we're going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. After losing to the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football last night, you're going to go up against the Los Angeles Rams on Monday night, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be so much fun. I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it, man. And I'm still going to take Minnesota in this game. But if Minnesota played the way they played against the Detroit Lions last night, I could possibly take the Rams. Honestly. And I just don't like the way Minnesota played last night against the Lions. They just could not get nothing going. They went with fourth down too many times. Their third down efficiency was not great against the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions ran all over them. Jahmyr Gibbs had 4 rushing touchdowns on them. No, 3, I think it was 3 rushing and 1 catching, if I'm not mistaken. But I like what the Rams do. The Rams definitely run the football now. They run the football with Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams is a dog, but Aaron Jones is just as good too. You got Puka Nakua. that's playing well. Do you know you got Justin Jefferson that didn't have a great game last night because Amik Robinson had him shut down? But I still like what I saw out of the Rams. Even though the Rams lost to the Seahawks yesterday in that Week 18 matchup, Matthew Stafford, if he's protected, is going to be a long day. This defense is good for Minnesota too. They just fell apart because their offense couldn't help them out. That's basically what it is. That's basically what it is. So if you want to be completely honest, you know, Minnesota got to play better. They got to get their receivers involved. Addison was nowhere to be found. TJ Hawkinson was nowhere to be found. Justin Jefferson was nowhere to be found. It was the running backs that did what needed to be done for Minnesota. But if Kyron Williams able to get off the way that Jahmyr Gibbs was able to get off against them on Sunday Night Football, it's going to be a long day for Minnesota if they don't get it together. I'm going to take Minnesota to win this game against the Rams, but I will not be surprised. Come back to this video. I will not be surprised if the Rams pull it off. Simple as that. Simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. But that is your wild card weekend predictions. I'm going to go through all my wins again, all my picks again, so to just make sure that we have it. So I have the Chargers over Houston. I have Baltimore beating Pittsburgh on Saturday. On Sunday, I have Buffalo beating Denver, Philadelphia beating Green Bay, and the Commanders beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I have Minnesota beating the Rams. But like I said, I would not be surprised if the Rams pull it off and beat Minnesota. I would not be surprised about that one. But let's get into the next part of this here. And that's college football. College football, ladies and gentlemen. And we have the college football playoff where we have, where we have the Ohio State Buckeyes going up against the Texas Longhorns. This is the college football playoff semifinal for these two teams. Now, Ohio State been looking good all playoffs. They looking like they're unbeatable. They look like they're very unbeatable. And to be honest with you, Jeremiah Smith is probably one of the best freshman wide receivers in football with 70 receptions, 1,224 yards, 14 touchdowns, and an average of 17 and a half per catch. The guy is 6'3", 215 pounds. And he dominated Oregon. He dominated Oregon in the quarterfinal with 7 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, if I'm Texas, you better come with your defense because you let Arizona State and you let one man in Skibo, the running back for Arizona State, come back and have y'all almost lose that game in overtime against Arizona State. Is no way in hell that you should not let Arizona State get back in the game after you was blowing them out. But I'm really looking forward to Will Howard and Quinn Ewers. These are two quarterbacks that I'm really looking forward to because Quinn Ewers, he's been very inconsistent. Very inconsistent in my personal opinion, and I just don't like nothing about it. I'm not really trusting him that much, and I'm not really trusting the Texas Longhorns, especially if they get up early. They take the foot off the gas, and Ohio State is playing unbelievable football right now. They are. They're playing unbelievable football, and I think Will Howard is probably the most underrated quarterback out of these 4 teams outside of the guy Leonard of Notre Dame, which I will get into in a couple of minutes. But I like Ohio State to win this game. I think Ohio State is going to beat Texas. I like Marcus Golden for the receiver for the Texas Longhorns. Quintarian Wisner, another good running back. But Ohio State defense is the reason why Ohio State is that good right now. They only give up 12.1 yards per game on defense in this playoffs. So I'm the Texas Longhorns. You gotta wear that defense down. But if you don't, it's going to be a long day. And according to the ESPN predictor, they have Texas winning this game 50.6% out of 49.4%. I'm sorry to say, but I am picking Ohio State to win this game, which I don't like Ohio State. I can't stand Ohio State because they beat my Tennessee Volunteers, but I'm taking them. I'm sorry. I'm taking them. You can't tell me any different. You can't tell me any different. I am taking them, and they will be in the national championship. Now, when it comes to Penn State versus Notre Dame, now this is going to be the game, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be the game. Now, I think Ohio State and Texas might be a blowout. They might be a blowout, but I like this game. This game might be the game of the week when it comes to college football. And number seven Notre Dame Fighting Irish going up against Penn State Nittany Lions. Now, and according to ESPN matchup predictor, it does say that Notre Dame is out to win 58.7% out of 41.3%. And that's according to ESPN analysis. And I like it, but it's really going to depend on how these two quarterbacks play. Now, I can say about Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard is a good quarterback. Drew Allen is a good quarterback. It's going to be down to their running backs, though, where you have Love and Allen. Now, Love for Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love is a dog. Over 1,000 yards, over 148 carries, 16 touchdowns. And then you have Allen, Katron Allen, that 201 carries on 1,026 yards and 8 touchdowns. It's all about establishing that run. I'm not really worried too much about the receivers, but Warren, the tight end, is the best tight end in football. Best tight end in college football with 98 receptions, 1,158 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So Tyler Warren got to get involved in this game. And for the defenses for both, I like Notre Dame's defense, but I really love Penn State's defense. I think this is one of the most balanced games in college football in the playoff. I think it's going to be lopsided between Ohio State and Texas. That's just me. But I like what I see out of these two teams in Notre Dame and Penn State. They're going to be so much, they're going to be so much identical in how they play. And they're so well coached by James Franklin and Marcus Freeman. They're so well coached and so well disciplined. You won't see a lot of penalties in this game. And just a quick story real quick before we get done. Just a quick story real quick. So at my job, I have somebody work at my job that is a Penn State alum, but they grew up being a Notre Dame fan, which is pretty interesting. So I asked him the other day, and I was like, so who are you going for since you are a Penn State alumni, but you grew up being a Notre Dame fan? He said the only reason why he grew up being a Notre Dame fan is because he loved Joe Montana. Respectfully, it's not that bad. I don't have no problem with that. But I do like, he said that he might just go with Notre Dame over his alumni. That might be a shocker to everyone. That might be a shocker to everyone, but now I see him now. And I'm like, oh, so what you gonna wear at this? What you gonna wear at it? What you gonna take? Like, are you gonna wear the all white Nittany Lion with the blue? Or you gonna wear the Notre Dame jacket that you have that he got from, like, if you ever watched Rudy, you know. If you ever watch Rudy, you know what that Notre Dame jacket looks like. And he has one of those jackets too. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Like, you can't be mad at him, wanting to wear the Notre Dame jacket. He grew up being a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, but he graduated from Penn State. So he said he's going to go for Notre Dame, but I wouldn't be surprised if he changed it if Penn State wins. That would be interesting. But just to let y'all know, they are my picks for the college football playoff. I will be doing those on my other channel, which is called The Sports Wire. Make sure y'all go check out. Make sure y'all just type it in your YouTube. Make sure y'all go check it out. The Sports Wire YouTube channel. I will be live for both of those games on Thursday and Friday. Then I pick Ohio State, and I'm picking Notre Dame to beat Penn State. I don't want a Big Ten national championship. I don't want it. I don't want a Big Ten national championship. I don't. So I got Notre Dame or Penn State, and I'm taking Ohio State over Texas, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm doing there. But let's switch over, and we're done with football. Let's switch over a little bit to some NBA news. And very interesting, the trade deadline's coming up, and we have an interesting topic here in the NBA that I want to talk about. Is Bradley Beal on the move during the trade deadline? Now, according to a source of Legion Sports, and it says report, veteran NBA insider John Gadabaro is reporting that Bradley Beal will waive his no trade clause for Lakers, Heat, or Nuggets. Now, we all know it's a rumor going around in the NBA about Bradley Beal being benched from the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Now, this is going to be interesting to watch because Bradley Beal got traded from the Washington Wizards to the Phoenix Suns to be a part of that big three with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. But Bradley Beal is not liking what he had, because him and Nurkic was the two that did get benched, and I think the rest of the game, or benched the rest of the game for being blown out. I forgot what the story was, but is Bradley Beal on the move again? That's a good question. That's a very good question, because now Bradley Beal, are you, when things don't go your way, are you going to be unhappy? And I don't see Bradley Beal moving from Phoenix, in my personal opinion. But if the Lakers want to go out and get him and trade the whole world for him, then go do it. Especially my Miami Heat, especially if you want, especially with the Jimmy Butler situation, which we about to get into in the next segment. The Jimmy Butler situation, I mean, just being 100%, Miami Heat, make the trade. Because I'm a Heat fan at the end of the day. I'm a Heat fan. Make the trade. Jimmy Butler wants out of there, bring Bradley Beal there. Now, the Denver Nuggets is a pretty interesting one that they said in this actual source from Legion Hoops. The Denver Nuggets, who are you going to give up to go get Bradley Beal? You already got Russell Westbrook there. You already got Jamal Murray there. So what room will fit for Bradley Beal to be a part of the Denver Nuggets? What would you give up if you're a Denver Nuggets GM? What would you give up to go get Bradley Beal? Does it make the Denver Nuggets better? Do they make them worse? Because, Russell Westbrook is coming off the bench. And Bradley Beal can put the numbers up. He can score. We all know that Bradley Beal is a hell of a scorer, especially in his career when it comes to stats. Numbers don't lie when it comes to Bradley Beal. We all know that sometimes that he could be a little bit of an injury prone. We know that. He can be injury prone, but at the same time, I mean, I'm not surprised at it. I'm not surprised at it. So when it comes to Bradley Beal, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the audio podcast, wherever you're watching this from. How do you feel about the Lakers, the Miami Heat, and the Denver Nuggets being interested in Bradley Beal? Now, when it comes to Jimmy Butler, this is a very interesting one. And I want to get into these topics here. And this is about the trade deadline. And according to Legion Hoops as well, they saying that the Grizzlies, Bucks are among teams in trade discussions for Miami Heat's Jimmy Butler. Now, we all know that there's some new trade predictions going on according to BleacherReport.com. And it's some bold 2025 NBA trade deadline predictions with 1 month to go into the trade deadline. Now, we all know that the 2025 NBA trade deadline is just 1 month away, and meaning that it could see a lot of action over the next 4 weeks with some star players potentially on the move. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat are definitely in a stalemate right now, but Butler doesn't think he can still be happy with the Miami Heat. You even have De'Aaron Fox situation with the Sacramento Kings is worth monitoring, and plenty of other veterans teams in the West that's looking, they'll need to make a move for a guaranteed playoff spot. Now, with the 2025 trade deadline quickly drawing nearly the attention, it's time to make some bold predictions. Now, they're saying that the Detroit Pistons could be a surprise buyer, knowing that the Detroit Pistons just lost Ivy for the rest of the season for a broken fibula. Jaden Ivey, the second team leading scorer. Right now, I can see them being some buyers. You got the Miami Heat to give Jimmy Butler his trade request. They're going to give in. The Miami Heat is going to give in. They're going to give him his trade request. I think so. Because it makes sense for him to be a part of, a new team if he's not going to be happy in Miami. It's simple as that. If he's not going to be happy in Miami, then just give him what he wants. Give him what he wants. as a Miami Heat fan. Build around Tyler Hero and do your best. Now, we all know throughout Jimmy Butler's career, it's times that he has his greatest opponent has been his own team. We see them played out once again that Butler is looking for joy in any place other than Miami. We know that. It indicated that the team that he wishes to trade for, according to ESPN, Shams, and Brian Windhorst. Now, of course, this comes roughly a week after the team president, Pat Riley, released a statement saying that the Heat would not trade Butler. So that's when things came to turmoil between the two when he said that. Now, with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero both playing at all-star levels and having moping Butler around is only going to waste the season and could end in a playoff run if Jimmy Butler decides to get himself together. But the Miami wish list potential returns it include like Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors, Michael Porter Jr. of the Denver Nuggets, Keegan Murray of the Sacramento Kings, or a package of picks of young talent from the Houston Rockets. Even taking back Bradley Beal, like I said in the last part of the segment, on a 3-year, $161 million contract from the Phoenix Suns that shouldn't even be considered. But what happens when the two most stubborn personalities in the NBA go head to head? Butler will win his round, and this time Riley will come away as the winner as well. Then you got, De'Aaron Fox stays in Sacramento, but the Kings listen to trade offers again this summer. So it looked like potentially the 27-year-old is putting up numbers, which is 26.7 points a game, with 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 steal per game. And then the All-Star season that he's having. Now, it's been teams like Orlando Magic, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Houston Rockets, the Miami Heat could all use a scoring and playmaking ability like De'Aaron Fox. Too bad the Kings won't trade Fox now. And despite the 17-19 record and sitting at number 11 in the West, the Sacramento Kings should feel no pressure to trade its franchise floor general. Now, Fox is still under contract next season of $37.1 million and will be eligible to sign a contract extension. Now, if the former fifth round pick, I'm sorry, not fifth round, the former number 5th overall pick in this summer wants to play somewhere else, Sacramento can still shop him for a big return. But for now, expect to remain as a king. The Warriors can trade. The Warriors is in some trade blocks too when it comes to trading for an impact starter. Right now the Warriors, Stephen Curry no longer look like he needs to be the number 2 scoring option. He's still averaging 22 points a game. He's still doing that. But the Warriors are just not playing well right now. I mean, you could go to options, like the first call should be a big fish guys like LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, LaMelo Ball should be at the top of the Warriors list. But I don't think LeBron James is leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. That's one. 2, Jimmy Butler might make sense. LaMelo Ball, I just don't see that happening. But I mean, he wants to get out of Charlotte, so I mean that makes kind of sense at some points. And you got the Golden State Warriors that's looking for a plan B as well if none of those don't come through. Like Anthony Simmons or Jeremiah Grant, Julius Randle, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Cameron Johnson, Curry and Draymond Green to upgrade the roster at the deadline and not relying on younger talent to make a miraculous leap over the next few months. But you definitely have to expect Golden State to be extremely active in the trade deadline. And last but not least, you have LeBron James, Lakers have some serious discussions about trade opportunities. Right now, the Lakers are 20-15 overall and basically as close as the number 4 seed in the West. But as they're falling into the play-in tournament, a lot can happen between now and mid-April with a loaded Western Conference that include potential of the trade of LeBron James. Now, James is positive and not yet commented on X about spending his, into his career with the Lakers. He said that would be the plan. He came here to play his last days of his career and finish there. But he's also not silly and too jaded. We all know the business is a game. We know what this NBA thing is a business. It's a business of basketball. We all know that the relationships that he has with players like Stephen Curry. They called James, the Warriors called James before, but James isn't committed to the Lakers this past season, which he holds a $52.6 million player option next season. And the 4-time MVP said on record that he didn't think the Los Angeles Lakers was good enough to win a championship right now. Interesting words to say from LeBron James. Very interesting to say, but I'm sorry to say, if the Lakers go on a mini slide and fall back to 500 or below, expect LeBron James in an organization to have some serious discussions about his future with the Lakers. Just including trade calls into the deadline. Now, with LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and Jimmy Butler all nearing the end of their Hall of Fame careers, don't be surprised if two of these stars end up together before the end of the season. It's going to be very interesting to watch for the NBA. It really is. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. But let's get into the final topic of today's podcast. And like I said, this podcast is presented by SeatGeek. Make sure you like live events or sporting events. Make sure you go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code DHopkins to get $20 off your first purchase right here on SeatGeek. But let's get into the last and final topic of today. And that is the WWE, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a new era of the WWE. WWE on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. WWE on Netflix. And we are here. We are live for it. And we have I have 5 predictions. 5 predictions for the WWE on Netflix debuts. And me personally, I'm going to have to say this. Now, WWE usually air on USA Network for the very last time last week. January 6th, the show would move to Netflix on a special debut episode. Now, the biggest stars in the business will compete to make an impact in front of a brand new streaming audience. Now, hopefully Netflix, you don't buffer or shut down because there's going to be millions of people trying to watch this on Netflix. So Netflix, I hope that whatever you do on your networks, make sure it's good to go because people's going to be watching left and right. They really are. And the WWE has already announced huge matches, including the tribal combat where you have Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. You have the last woman standing match for the women's world title where you have Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. But this is the only beginning of the show that could include wild returns and shocking moments in great action. And I would love it. As a wrestling fan, I'm going to love it. In following the 6 predictions of the premiere of Raw on Netflix, that it could change the complexion of the WWE in 2025 and beyond. Now, I might see Rhea Ripley Rhea Ripley win against Liv Morgan. I can see her taking the title tonight. I can see her beating Liv Morgan for the title, but I think Liv Morgan's going to hold on to it to the Royal Rumble. But I'm still going to pick Rhea Ripley to beat, and get that. And I think Becky Lynch might have a return too. In return and challenge Rhea Ripley. That might be a thing too, where Liv Morgan might beat Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch returns to challenge Rhea Ripley. You just never know. You have to come back to this video once it's done. Because we all know that between WrestleMania 40, played to host in huge matches, including battle between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for the World Championship. It was a good contest. It was hardly reached his height, but both women achieved due to injuries and illness. But before either could set on stage for a sequel, Ripley was injured and the man chose to take some time off from the ring to, be a mother and take care of, her and Seth Rollins' child. But since Lynch has disappeared from the public eye and spending time with her daughter while preparing for the next steps in her career, that does include she's going to be playing in a role in Star Trek, the Starfleet Academy that's debuting in 2026. So it looked like Rhea Ripley might have her return with Becky Lynch, and to have it on Raw on Netflix definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense. You got the Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and the original tribal chief in Roman Reigns. That's going to be a match that you definitely want to see. Roman Reigns has clearly established himself that his goal is to reclaim his tribal chief as the tribal chief. Now, I was not a Roman Reigns fan. I wasn't a Roman Reigns fan at all. But I don't like this new tribal chief in Solo Sikoa. I'm not a big fan of him. And on Monday, there's a chance that the original tribal chief back on track, and the story will be much stronger with Roman Reigns again wearing on him and beating Solo Sikoa. You know, Solo Sikoa keep calling himself the new tribal chief and gaining significant credibility in that time and has gone far. But his current role would benefit the adversity of the force face and the fact that he needs more to overcome. And Roman Reigns had definitely got to be at the head of the table. So I'm definitely taking Roman Reigns to beat Solo Sikoa. You got Jey Uso that's going to defeat Drew McIntyre with the help of his brother. That's a possibility. There's been some drama there for a while as Drew McIntyre is set to see the sights of his three men of Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Jimmy Uso. He has already defeated Sami Zayn twice in great matches settings in a stage for a main event to step up next. Jay's feud with the Scottish Warrior is unlikely completed in one match, so in the result of Raw on Netflix, the premier clash cannot be indefinite. But the best answer would be for Jimmy to return and help Jay, as Jimmy suffered a broken toe at the Survivor Series in the War Games. Had been attacked by Drew McIntyre while recovering. So he's already been healthy, already got enough to get back on track for wrestling since he's been working house show matches since December 26th, setting the stage for the January TV return. Now, Jimmy owes McIntyre a receipt for his attacks 3 weeks back, and he could pop up in the crowd by standing tall with his brother Jay. Now, this would be great for a crowd-pleasing moment to bring back more stars of the Bloodline story, as well, giving the Scottish more rivals to combat. And it will push McIntyre to seek more allies in his new vendetta, as he cannot defeat 3 men on his own and likely will align with fully Solo Sikoa. That might be interesting. John Cena might come back. And John Cena's supposed to come back tonight. That's the biggest thing on here. But Tony Hollingsworth said, I would like to see Cody lose the belt to John Cena in his feud with Cody. Then Randy come in, and Cody versus Randy finally happened. So I wouldn't like to see Cena become a champion, because he's just, if he's on his last rodeo of being part of the wrestling world, of being part of the WWE, I just don't want that to happen. I don't want Cena being a champion. If Cena's going to come back, then The Rock has to come back. Now, The Rock might be a little bit more interesting, but they both part-time and just on WWE's contracts and just getting paychecks from the WWE. Cody Rhodes has been in, night out, defending that title every event that he could. I would better have a better person than John Cena. Not saying that John Cena is not worthy of the title. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we need somebody that's going to be there 365 days of the year to be the champion. Now, if Randy comes in and beats Cena for the title, then we might have a different story there. But Randy's been on and off of television as well with his injuries. But I would love to see Cody versus Randy. I would love to see that, because that's what, third generation, second generation superstars. No, they both third generation superstars. I would love to see that matchup because of just the iconic of the Orton family and the Rose family. I would love to see that. But Tony Hollingsworth, you got a point there. But Cena's going to bring in the views. The Rock's going to bring in the views. We're going to have a lot of people bringing the views. They're probably going to make John Cena a champion to break the Flair record. I'm surprised they will let John do it. If not Charlotte, let Charlotte do it more than John Cena. I mean, that's her daughter. I mean, that's his daughter. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. That makes sense. So I can see that happening. But this is the one thing I want to get into, and people might not like this. They might not like what I'm about to say here. Seth Rollins could possibly turn heel to beat CM Punk. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because right now, both of those guys are fan favorites. Both of those guys are fan favorites, especially Seth Rollins, especially CM Punk. They both fan favorites. But I would not be surprised if Seth Rollins turns heel. He's good when he's heel. We saw the success when he was heel. We saw the success when he was popular, when he was a good guy. Turn him back to be a bad guy. Let CM Punk be the good guy. That's the best thing you could do. For real, for real. I would love to see that. I think that makes a lot of sense, in my personal opinion. But tonight at 8 o'clock, I will be on the Sports Wire YouTube channel doing Monday Night Raw on Netflix, watching it. I'll probably watch it from my phone, or I probably won't even do it at all. But who knows? Who knows? I might be on my second YouTube channel doing it. But that is my predictions for Monday Night Raw on Netflix. You know, I got Roman Reigns being Solo Sikoa. You know, it's gonna be. I got Rhea Ripley beating Liv Morgan, but I think Liv Morgan's going to retain because Becky Lynch is going to come back. That's going to be a lot to talk about. If we want to have our recap, we're going to have our recap. It's going to be fun to watch. But let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know what y'all think of this season 3 of the Darion Hopkins Sports Show is here. And it's back. And I appreciate everyone being here on the Darion Hopkins Sports Show. Make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel, Darion Hopkins Sports Show. Make sure you go to the Instagram, Darion Hopkins Sports. On Twitter, D Hop Sports Live. On Rumble, Darion Hopkins Sports Show. Any social media platform that has D Hopkins Show or Darion Hopkins Sports Show, make sure y'all follow it. Make sure y'all go and listen to the audio podcast on Darion Hopkins Sports Show on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, you name it. We all on there as well. And we appreciate y'all coming in and being part of another podcast. Thank y'all so much. Have a blessed night. And I will see y'all on Wednesday for episode 2 of season 3 of the Darion Hopkins Sports Show. My name is Darion, and I'm out of here. Peace and blessings. I'm out.